Hello, day 13 of my honey advent. Day 13. As those of you who've been following will know, I've actually been away. We went up to London for a few days, which was great fun. It was really nice to see all the lights. So we've come back, put up our tree, put up some lights, so we're feeling a little bit festive now. And when I got back, I had several parcels because I had been ordering things before I went, but also I received a gift. And this is a box from Bermondsey Street Bees. So in here is a very special honey. So here we go. This is the jar. Sorry, the label's just come off. So there we go. Bermondsey Street Bees Metro Honey. Now, there is a good reason why this one. Good morning, Esther. So, I've received a parcel, some amazing honey. You may be familiar with this one. It's from London, Bermondsey Street Bees. And this is a gift, and it's a really special gift. And of course, there's a good story. So, I've decanted some of this. Now, I was familiar with Sarah because of her book, Planting for Honeybees. And last year, I met her at the Bees for Development summer party, their summer tea party, which is an amazing event. So if ever you get to go, you just have to go. And because I'd heard of her and we'd connected on Instagram, so it was really exciting to meet her. Well, then last October, I went back to Bologna for the advanced honey tasting, honey sommelier course, honey sensory analysis course, and Sarah was there. She was on the course. So it was really great to spend a few days together. And as I mentioned before, when we were on this course, we're tasting all these honeys, and there's 18 honeys that we really need to know off by heart. And the difficult thing is that taste is associated with memory. And so when I went on the first course, I suddenly had 18 honeys, and there was only 2 that I was familiar with. And so I had to try and find associations, memory associations with all these different honeys, which was really difficult. I mean, things like the chestnut, sweet chestnut, was easy because it has such a distinctive flavour and it was really bitter and I'd never tasted it before. So the moment I taste any sweet chestnut, I'm instantly taken back to that first course in Bologna. Now, one of the ones that I could never get a grip on, and I'm finding out, I've been doing a little bit of reading this morning, and I can see why it's so hard to find out about. One of the 18 honeys is called Tree of Heaven. And it's from a plant called Ailanthus altissima. Now, I have got hundreds and hundreds of books. I've got hundreds of art books, hundreds of gardening plant books, because I used to paint plants and flowers when I painted, and I've got hundreds of bee books, and not one book has got a picture of this tree. And so I can see now why I've had a real problem trying to associate with it. And whenever we had the exams or the tests, I could never identify this honey. And it's called Tree of Heaven honey, and it's really well known for being an amazing honey. So the Italians, they favour it, and they just say, oh, it's Tree of Honey and Tree of Heaven, and it's meant to be sort of on a par with Greek thyme honey, as this amazing honey. So when we were on the course, many of us brought our own honeys to taste. And Sarah had brought some of her honey. And Sarah's got a number of hives and works with beekeepers across London and further afield. And this honey is from the Royal Albert Docks in London. And it seems that there is some of these Tree of Heaven trees there. And when we were tasting the honey, our tutors were saying, oh my goodness me, that is a pure example of Tree of Heaven honey. And Sarah was kind enough to give me a little sample while we were there. And I then shared it out with some of the other students who also didn't have a sample. So my little sample sort of reduced down and down. And it's a honey I've really got to practice. I've just got to get, I've got to associate it in my memory. And because I was an artist, I have a very visual brain. So for me, it really helps to associate a honey or a taste or a flavour with a visual memory. And because I can't find any pictures of this blooming tree, it's getting difficult. So I've got 2 books here. I've actually got 3 books. So I've got The Planting for Bees. I've also got this one here, which is Plants for Bees, which should have everything, which does actually talk about the tree, but with no picture. Absolutely no picture. And then I've got this amazing heavy book, which I'm sure many of you who plant have also got. And again, it writes about it, but no picture. But I'm gathering it has little white flowers that are produced in July, August. Now, what is also interesting is in this book, it says that it's not a honey producing tree, but when you read it, it says that in the 1940s, honey obtained by a London beekeeper with hives not far from Kensington Gardens was believed from pollen analysis to be mainly from the source of Tree of Heaven, which is frustrating. I wish I'd read this before I was up in London, because I could have routed around Kensington Gardens and seen if I could find the tree. So it has little green berries, but it's not a native tree, and the tree and the honey actually has quite an unpleasant smell. It's quite animal smell when you smell it. And it's actually been nicknamed, because it's fast growing and its suckers sort of come up and then it spreads even more, and very difficult to eradicate. It's also acquired the names stink tree and tree of hell, but the honey is heaven. So here we go. This is the honey, very liquid. I've just decanted it. Look at that. Does look exactly how honey should look. It's not too runny. You know, it's quite viscous. The spoon will stand up for a little while. So the smell, it is animal. It is quite, it's sort of cleansing, almost like smelling bleach. But when you taste it, so I'm going to have a big spoonful because I do like this honey. Wow. So it has all the citrusy flavours, definitely citrusy, slightly bitter. So that's unusual, quite unusual for honey. Very, a bit sort of sherbety, really sweet, but it does dry out your tongue, which is quite unusual. But yeah, I suppose the main thing is sort of bitter lemon, that's all. So, wonderful stuff. And because I'd only had this little sample that Sarah had given me, I messaged her a couple of weeks ago and said, look, I'm doing, I'm trying to practice all my honeys, and I know that you had a sample that was a fine example of Tree of Heaven, but I knew also it wasn't labelled Tree of Heaven honey, and but I couldn't remember which apiary it was from. So she said Royal Albert Docks, and then she sent me a jar. So if you want to try the Tree of Heaven honey, you just have to go to Bermondsey Street Bees and order some of this. It really is, it is heaven. It is so unusual, and quite addictive. I mean, obviously I love honeys, but this is a really good one. So I love how honey has brought me together, well, and writing with Sarah Wyndham Lewis, and she was actually involved with me as well with our Plant 1 Million Trees for Elanga Nature Honey. So we did a live honey tasting for World Bee Day in May. So if you look on my YouTube channel, or Elanga Nature UK on Instagram, you'll find some of the videos that we did together then. So it's really exciting how we've got more and more British beekeepers who are becoming honey sommeliers, and that can only help. And it helps with the gardening, it helps with us understanding what plants the bees are going to. So the bees obviously in the Albert Docks, they've found a tree, and this is what they go to produce this excellent honey. So happy Sunday, happy 13th, day 13 of the of my honey advent, and bitter lemon. I think that's what this is. Delicious. So join me tomorrow. I'm not sure yet which honey I'm going to do. I have got a huge collection. So if there's any honeys that you'd really like to see me tasting, just comment below. If you want to know more about me, then just look at my website, look at all the other videos here, find me on YouTube. If you want to read my book, it's A to B's, and you can get that from my website too. So there we go. Tree of Heaven honey, all gone, absolutely delicious, and that's from Bermondsey Street Bees. And thank you very much, Sarah, for sending me the pot. So lovely to come back to. So I'll see you all tomorrow. Thank you.